In this video, we are going to talk all about the cost of living in Bremerton, Washington. So if you're relocating to Bremerton or maybe even Seattle and you want to know how much it costs to live here, then stay tuned because we are going to get it going right now. I'm Cassandra Lopez. I'm a 3Max exclusive. I'm a local real estate agent here in Bremerton, Washington. And this channel is all about living in Bremerton, Washington. So if you want to know that stuff, be sure to subscribe and tap the little bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. So how much does it cost to live in Bremerton? So why don't we start with housing, because that's kind of the hot topic on everyone's mind right now. So right now, a median home price in Bremerton, Washington is about $400,000 to $410,000. So that's a little bit higher than the national average. It's about 50% higher. However, it is about half of what it costs to live in Seattle. Right now, the median home price in Seattle is creeping up to $800,000. So if you're relocating to Seattle, maybe you have a job or moving because of family or school or whatever, you may want to consider checking out the Bremerton side. We're only 12 miles to the west and we have some great ferry systems to get you back and forth so you don't have to sit in a car on a freeway all day. So that may be a good option for you. If you're military and you're relocating here, you obviously will have your housing allowance unless you decide to live on the ship or in the barracks. So your housing allowance is going to be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,700, maybe even up to $3,000 a month, depending on your rank, your family size, your dependent status, all that stuff. If you need a chart, I'll post the chart in the description below. So you guys have your housing covered, which is pretty darn cool. So what are groceries like? I mean, if you're coming from the South or somewhere where the economy is totally different or the pricing structures are totally different, you may have no idea what you're getting yourself into. We aren't that far off from the national average. Our groceries, as far as regular stuff you just go to the store and buy, is pretty much in line with the national average, but that's an average. So if you're in like a little pocket neighborhood that's either really, really inexpensive or the opposite, really, really expensive, you are going to experience a deviation. Of course, we have our like boutique stores like Sprouts and Whole Foods, and a couple little mom and pop places in different neighborhoods that are probably going to be a little more expensive. But your normal Safeway, Trader Joe's, Fred Meyer, which is also Kroger. So if you have a Kroger near you, same family, Fred Meyer and Kroger are the same thing. QFC, all these stores are going to be your typical run-of-the-mill, so you're not going to be paying an arm and a leg for groceries. Let's talk about healthcare, because that's always something that's on everyone's mind, right? So if you're military, obviously you don't have to worry about it, you're taken care of. If your employer covers your healthcare, or at least a portion of it, or gives you some group options to choose from, definitely go with that. I know the Department of Defense, so Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, NAVFAC, Port Ops, all of those Department of Defense employees all have healthcare options through their employer. There's several industries that don't offer healthcare, like restaurant industry. Most retail probably won't offer really good healthcare. So you're going to go to WashingtonHealthPlanFinder.org, which I'll post in the description below. I can say for me, I'm in my early 40s, a healthy non-smoker. My rates are like kind of middle of the road, about $450 a month. So not too bad, right? If you pay student loans, I know that sounds weird, but if you pay student loans, you can use the interest to count towards a reduction in your healthcare, which who'd have thought those two things would be related. So, but be sure to go to WashingtonHealthPlanFinder.org. I'll put it in the description below because it's really long, to see what that might look like for you if it is an option that you need if your employer doesn't offer it for you. Talk about utilities, because those are so different across the nation. So City of Bremerton and most of the outlying areas were on public sewer, public water. There are some more rural areas that have septic systems and wells for your drinking water. So obviously a septic and a well, you're not going to have any utility bills for those. You're just going to be required to maintain them at your own expense. And so instead of a regular monthly bill, you're going to want to set some money aside to manage some more costly things that are more infrequent, like a septic pump, or maybe your well pump needs to be replaced or something like that. So just keep in mind that if you do have one of those individual on-site systems and you're not in charge of your own utility bill because of that, you will be responsible for the maintenance. We have natural gas, which is kind of cool. It helps offset the electricity. So natural gas can be used for your furnace, so your heat, your water heater, your cooking, your fireplace. If you're in a location that doesn't have natural gas, you can opt for propane. You can opt for like a pellet stove or a wood stove, something like that, some alternative form of heat. So there's all kinds of options and all kinds of combinations that might work for you there. A fun fact, only about 10% of homes in the Kitsap County area have air conditioning. So that's going to be, if you're coming from a place where everyone has air conditioning, like Arizona, and you come here, you're going to find that hardly any houses here have AC. So that electricity or gas bill will be reduced just by the fact that we don't have it. We are starting to see more and more of the ductless mini split units go in, which may or may not be more cost effective to install. I know personally at my house, I had my HVAC guy do a bid for a ductless mini split and then also central air. And it was actually less expensive for me to install central air just because of where the compressor would be located relative to the electrical panel and how much wiring you'd have to do and all that stuff. So really depends on what would be most affordable for you, but I recommend getting both bids just so you can compare them just like I did. The last thing we're going to talk about as far as cost of living is travel. So right now we're late August 2021, gas is anywhere from $3.45 to $4 a gallon, depending on the tier of gas or the location. Like sometimes the more rural places will have more expensive gas. So it's right in there. It's right in there with the national average. Doesn't cost too much to fill up your tank. We also have commuter options like the ferry. So ferry is free from Bremerton to Seattle, and that's the Washington State DOT drive-on ferry. If you want to reserve a ticket on the fast ferry, which is a foot-only ferry, I think you can bring your bike as well. Those are reserved tickets, and those are going to be a fee. So we have lots of travel options with the ferries. In fact, there's Kingston, Edmonds, Bainbridge, Seattle, Bremerton, Seattle, Southworth to Vashon, and then West Seattle. Those are the Washington State DOT ferries. And then we have a fast ferry from Kingston, fast ferry from Bremerton, and a fast ferry from Southworth, all going into Seattle. And those are the commuter style foot ferries that you need to reserve a ticket. And then we also have a short little fast ferry from Bremerton to Port Orchard. So if you live in Port Orchard and you work at the shipyard, you just hop on the foot ferry in downtown Port Orchard and it drops you off like 10 feet from the gate of the shipyard. So that's kind of cool. We also have Kitsap Transit, which is our bus system. So if you reserve tickets on the walk-on fast ferry that requires the reservations, that is Kitsap Transit as well, so you may be able to get some bundle discounts with the transportation there. There we have it. If you have any questions, put it in the comments below. I promise I will respond. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to tap the little bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And until next week, see you later.